start something to say, or else we'll start with questions, sir.
Yeah. Good morning all, and I have a set of about 14 questions in front of me. Indeed, it's long time since I ever answered question papers. You know, more. You know, latter part of my life, I was setting question papers and answering. Marking the answer scripts. Now, I see the questions. I have a tendency to answer the question in one line or two lines, or can go on forever. There are a few points. I think every question is a good question, as Mujib mentioned that, you know, questions cannot be stupid, only answers can be. So all the questions are good. I can answer them in a very short way, or we can pick up some of these questions and later on develop into another session, because some questions, although they have few words in the question, but the answer can be hours. You know, it can run into hours because the questions are like that. So if you think everybody has joined and we can start answering, I could go on. But Mujib, it's your call.
Yeah, sir. We'll start with questions. And one more time, thanks everyone who have joined today for a wonderful Sunday session. All questions have been picked from students, and most of these questions were not been answered. And most of questions are very interesting and worth learning about these topics, about research work, about articles, publications, and most difficult questions we have put this time to sir. Yeah, sir. I'll go for first question. Last week, last session, you have said, yeah, sir.
Mujib, 1 second. You know, if you look at the questions, then there are questions about talking, there are questions about writing, and there is a question about my background again. So the question number 3, can you share your experience as the past president of IPA? This is the odd man out, you know, among all the questions here. So either we could start with the odd man out, or we could put it at the end, whichever way.
We'll start with this odd man, sir. We'll start with, can you share your experience as a past IPA president?
With IPA. So that's experience as an IPA president with IPA, or how did I feel to be a president?
Yeah. So
can you elaborate that?
What things you made in IPA? Because last week we had Dr. TV Narayana sir, and sir was telling your name for many times that because
he mentioned a few times. He mentioned my name. I heard that. I was also there in that talk. Okay. Let me tell you this. You know, before I became the president of IPA, I was almost for 18 years or something in IPA, in the Central Executive Committee. So we go to the meeting and we hear all the presidents talking and doing things. In IPA, what happens? President is the boss of the organization. So everybody listens to president. And the president need not, people need not disagree with the president. You know, there can be arguments, but final word is always president. So we are looking at some presidents who have made an impact on the organization. While we also have seen presidents, I don't want to name anybody, that they just were with the association. You know, contributions probably are not as significant as other presidents. So when you get a chance to become a president, there's a big question mark. You got elected and you have a 2-year term, or it could run into a 4-year term. You have a question in your mind, you know, what can I do as a president of this organization? It is not a small organization. It's a vast organization. It has 80 years of experience. I mean, it is almost when I took over, it was 77 years old. And there are several presidents are there before. How do you address these issues? So as a president, I decided, okay, when I was not a president, I was a Central Executive Committee member. When I was looking at the organization, what are all the things that I did not understand with the organization, or what are all the things that did not provide clarity to the organization? Let me tackle those first. So we have the IPA structure is there are state branches, there are local branches, and state branches representatives are Central Executive Committee members. And do we know every one of those state branches? Have we met them? Or are they simply names that you communicate by writing a letter or an email, but you never met them? What do they really think about IPA as an organization? This is one question I want to look at. So, in order to improve the communication between the state branches, local branches, and IPA, this is one of the objectives that I was looking at. And to make the every state branch current, they have to undergo elections. Because the elected representatives can vote for the president. So if a branch has not gotten election done for 10 years, and the president and secretary who were elected 10 years ago were still continuing to be electoral college members of IPA, it is injustice because other state branches are, electing current representatives, while some are state branches which are just a few people are there forever, It's not correct in a democratic organization. So we had to conduct elections. We had to go there first. We had to meet. We had to talk. This is one of the objectives. The second is, as Dr. Narayana last time very correctly, or I must thank him, pointed out that the finances were in a mess and the clarity in the finances was obtained. Yes, I wanted to look at the clarity in the finances. And the other thing, which Dr. Narayana has done immensely well, is the building. The building was the Bhumi Puja, or the foundation stone was laid. Or Bhumi Puja was done, not foundation stone was laid. In 2007, I took over as president in 2014. In the 7 years, nothing has happened. So the first question I faced as a president is that, what's going to happen for the building? Where is the building? Then I said, what cannot be completed in 7 years' time? When I took over the president and somebody asked me this question, and then I don't say that, in 7 months' time I'm going to finish. But I want to work on that and understand what is the problem that has prevented the building from coming. First thing I found that there's money given by people, and the committees that are there are spending the money for this point, this work, that work, etc., etc., etc. Then I said, no, we have to stop that expenditure. No money should be spent from building fund. We have to protect it, because if we want to construct the building, we need to protect it. Then what are the problems that are coming in the way of getting the building? And to my utter surprise, I realized that it is internal problem. It's not, Narayana sir said there are several permissions to be obtained. Yes, those permissions are coming. But there is an internal problem that people are not agreeing, because somebody says the building should not be there and somebody says the building should be there. And then they have been talking about it for months, weeks, months and years. So you have to cut that down. So in fact, that task was not simple. It took almost 3 years for me to clear that, and disgruntled voices to tell them that it's a IPA building and nobody can come in the way of the building, because it is the desire, or it is the dream of each and every IPA member. So ultimately, when the ground was set, my term was over. So I handed it over to Dr. Narayana to take the initiative, and I also given him a fund. That was when I started as a president, the building fund was 2.8 crores. And when I handed over, it was 4.3 crores. And in that, there is a 1.6 crore contribution for IPC in 2016. Such that Dr. Narayana could do it, and give the required permissions and take the decisions to complete the building. The building is almost done, but the building is locked out too in COVID. So once things have become normal, the building would be completed. So this is what providing the background. Finances were streamlined between state and local branches. We have gotten some understanding. There is good communication. Plus, I encouraged everybody to do what they're doing. Like Narayana was the education division chairman at that time. And I told him that, Narayana, can we encourage local branches? People are approaching Dr. Narayana and local branches to set up, and then we both agreed to do that, and we set up almost like 10 or 15 local branches during my time and formed the Andhra Pradesh state branch. And, because due to the state separation of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, the Andhra Pradesh state branch located in Hyderabad was stuck there. So we encouraged the Telangana people to take the Telangana state branch formation and the Guntur and Amravati region to get the Andhra Pradesh state branch. So we transferred it over there, such that one not so active state branch has become two state branches which both are active. So this is another contribution, things like that. And then the formation of the Andhra Pradesh state branch immensely helped the IPC 2016 in Visakhapatnam, and many people may say that they have all records, but Visakhapatnam is the landmark IPC with 10,000 plus people attending that. You may hear that IPCs every time there is we broke the records. Nobody can break that record, even on finances, because it has a budget of 7.5 crores and 9.5 crores was collected. 50 lakhs was spent on Andhra University to improve the facilities there, because that is our, because they have given us the venue, we contributed back. And 1.5 or 1.6 crores was given to IPA Building Fund. It gives me immense satisfaction because we worked hard. But I must say that this is not possible without Dr. Narayana. And even today, Dr. Narayana says, things are possible between both of us because we think alike, we work together, and he doesn't meddle with what I'm doing and I don't meddle with what he is doing. So the team works extremely well. And we have a set of maybe 100 people with us who are dedicated. And we just have to tell them, please do it. And Mujib is one of them. He's silent. He's not saying. But then, and if Prajna, IPSF is also, IPSF is logged in, then that team is also very good, helping us. Another contribution that during my time it happened was setting up 25 fellowships for 25 students in pharmacy colleges across the country. IPA has started with Zydus Cadila, with Pankaj Bhai Patel. We have established that. Prakash Modi of Unicam joined us and said he will add 10 more fellowships, 15 more fellowships. So that became 40 fellowships. We have implemented 40 fellowships for 3 years or 4 years in a row. But very unfortunately, what happened with Unicam, the company got sold. So even though Prakash Modi remained as the chairman, some other people who are involved in the company now started saying that, why should the, student scholarships be given? So for briefly, those 15 scholarships are on the hold. But I'm sure if we can go back and talk to Prakash Modi, he will agree because he's a great man. His father was a great contributor for IPA, Amrit Modi, AV Modi sir, and he's also a great contributor. But Pankaj Bhai Patel of Zydus Cadila is giving these 25 fellowships in the name of Raman Bhai Patel, who is his father and was also a founder pillar of IPA. We have also gotten the ACG, that's the Associated Capsule Group, to institute awards for innovation in IPA. So IPA gives innovative awards for development, innovative development of solid dosage forms, and innovative development of solid dosage form packing, because it's actually a packaging award, but we have expanded it into innovation in solid dosage form also. IPA has first time introduced these innovation awards. Okay, this also happened with me during my time, and Narayana actually followed that up, that trend, and by introducing Industry Excellence Awards last year. So this is how we are building up the rapport between IPA and industry, IPA and education, and IPA and state branches, such that IPA can be regarded as one whole unit which can represent pharmacy profession, all the facets, such that government has no option but to agree with IPA one day. You know, they are already listening, but I think we have to force ourselves. I think I've already talked quite a bit on my experience as past president of IPA, you know. So we can go on.
Yeah, sir.
Almost
one interesting
15.
question, sir. Most of people are asking. I'll jump here and there on questions. How to write an article? Maybe a review article, research article, or how to pick up a topic, how to make it as format, because you are in editorial board. So my students want to listen, our students want to listen, how to write an article.
Yeah, okay. So let us start with how to write an article. First of all, how to write an article. If you want to start talking about a review article and a research article, I don't think you can start today to write a review article or a research article, because there has to be tremendous background done before you start writing an article. But what your question I can understand is how you can develop a faculty or a core competence of writing, So connected with that, somewhere down below is a question on blog. Sir, what is blog? How do we write blogs? There is a question here somewhere. I want to look at that. Yeah. How to write a blog? How useful is to write a blog? Right? This is connected. Blog is nothing but, because I have to start with blog. Blog is nothing but writing what is there in your mind or explaining your, your thoughts or your experiences. So the blog can be a thematic blog, a travel blog, or the places you visited blog, or your experiences blog, or the movies you have seen blog, whatever. That blog would help you to write the thoughts that came in your mind, to express them on a platform that other people can read. You can kind of write, scribble, and put it somewhere. Nobody sees it. So what is the point? So blog is somebody else would see it, make a comment, probably agree, disagree, make a critic or whatever. Now, when you are writing a blog, yesterday there was an incident that you experienced. You want to write something about it. How would you write it? Can I really put what are my thoughts into sentences? And these sentences must make sense that when others read these sentences, they must at least see what I wanted to write. So you have an experience in your mind, but you wrote it, and it when other person reads it, for him, he understands it differently, then the purpose of blog is lost. But blog is informal writing. We're not really looking at elegance and beauty of the language. Sometimes we are not, maybe not even looking at absolute grammatical correctness, but what we are looking at is, are we able to transmit our ideas exactly the same way that we think it should be transmitted to the other people? If I narrate an incident, when all the other people read that incident, do they experience what I experienced in that particular incident? If they cannot, then the blog is not written properly. But sometimes when you read some people's blogs, you are experiencing, or you start feeling as if you are that person who is experiencing what he wrote. So in other words, what blog writing would help you to put in words what is your thoughts and experiences, and that would help immensely in writing research articles and scientific articles. Okay. Only thing is that there you are writing science, not in blog, but in papers, and there is a style of writing, there is a way of using words and expressing. Over a period of time, you develop that. Okay, but you develop your own style of writing. Of course, you don't have to copy somebody else's writing. When you write a research article or when you write a review article, you must have sufficient substance to put it in the form of writing, a manuscript. See what I'm trying to say? In the blog, you have an experience. In a research paper, you have a well-designed research project that you want to represent there. An experience can be an hour experience, experience of worth of 30 minutes, or an experience worth of 1 day, or an experience worth of 7 or 8 days. But in a research paper, sometimes the research project might run for 6 months, 1 year, with difficulties, with so many things that you might have changed, altered, etc. But in a blog, you write all these things, but in a research paper, you don't write all these things. You write in a short term what exactly that you have done and what exactly you found.
Just gonna stand there.
Referred to as scientific writing. So blog is informal writing, and whereas writing a research paper is scientific writing. In a blog, you are writing your experiences. In a research paper, you are writing the results and the methodology and the conclusions you are going to draw out of that. Okay, that's more structured writing. When it's come to review article, it takes an entirely different platform. In a review article, you are not writing what is your experience or what you have done, but what you have learned out of reading so many research papers written by so many people. Okay. If you have also extensively researched in that area, your own conclusions would come in there. Your own research results would come in that review. But if you have not done anything, but you have read 100 papers, then you are actually trying to write what you have gained out of those 100 papers in the form of a review article. So you are reviewing all that literature and writing here exactly what you understand. Here comes the problem. So many research papers you read and you have to quote them, but what are you going to write? So many people, what they do is they take paragraphs or sentences from those articles and quote unquote reproduce them and give them the references and say that I have prepared a 10-page review article.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But this is work. So you really have gone through these manuscripts, these review articles, and then picked up a paragraph from there or picked up a sentence from there, picked up what they have concluded or what they have reported here. But unfortunately, what happens is when you quoted them, quote unquote, that means when you reproduce their sentences here, it's not original. It's not your writing.
Right.
So that comes under a huge problem of plagiarism.
Right.
So therefore, review articles have to be written in such a way that you read a paper and then you write down what is that you have learned in that paper in 1 or 2 sentences or maybe a paragraph. And right below that, the reference of that paper. That means you made a note of 1 paragraph after reading one huge research paper of 10 pages or 15 pages. Then after you read 100 such papers, you got 100 such paragraphs of your own notings of what they have written. Now can you add all these 100 paragraphs and make it into a story? That is a review article. It's tough. It's not easy to write. You think that I have written 30 or 40 papers. Yes, I did. Have I written a review article? No. Even today, I hesitate to write a review article because it's a huge work. So some of you who is interested in writing a review article, you can work towards it. There's no question about it. I'm not discouraging anybody. But I'm just trying to say that it's not just copy pasting from 150 articles to say that it's a review article. That's wrong. I have written a PhD thesis. Okay, I'll cite from my own experience. I have worked for 3.5 years in the lab, and I generated so much data. I collected, converted all those data into tables and figures, and then, explanation of the methods, explanation of the results, everything was there. And before writing my thesis, I published all that work in 5 research papers in 5 different journals. So I actually have published my PhD thesis even before I wrote my PhD thesis. Writing the methods, results, and discussion took me almost something like 2 weeks or 3 weeks because I have already done all the work. The introduction part of it, which is 1/4 of the thesis, which is like a review article, it took me 3 months to write. I started in January 1983, and only on April I finished my introduction. That's the seriousness with which you have to write your introduction. Introduction is like a review article. There should not be any plagiarism. This is what I'm trying to say. So reading something, understanding something, and writing that in your own words is the most difficult thing. Because what you have done as results, what you have done as methods, and what you have interpretations as your results, that is the other parts of a research paper is much easy. So I'm trying to tell you how to write an article, right? So you can write an article, but you need to know all these things. So Mujib, how to write an article and going into depths of it, if people are interested, can be entirely a separate session.
Yeah, sir. I think you have spoken about blog, and you have spoken about review article, and you have spoken about research article. So there's 3 areas you have covered it. I'm going to skip these questions. 3 questions.
No, question number 4. How to write an article.
13. Yeah, 13 is
question
also...
number 13, and the one thing above, the 12. How can we write a research article?
Yeah, I think these 3 questions are being answered, sir. Sir, out of my interest, I'm asking this question. There are so many publications we have. So which one to pick and which one to submit? How do we know that? Do we get a good scoring out of that publication or not? Either it is a review article or a research article. How do you select that publication or journal? So I think that's out of my personal question, sir.
Honestly speaking, I did not understand the question you were asking.
Like there are hundreds of journals, right, sir? So which
how to pick up a journal? Yeah. So, okay, you want to write an article, write a research paper. Step 1. Before you even attempt to write, you have to choose the journal.
Yeah.
Because when you write a research paper, you have to write it as per the instructions of authors of a journal. You cannot write before and try to fit it to the instructions to authors of any journal. So you have to choose the journal. How do you choose the journal? When I can cite my experience here. First time when I wrote my research paper on my PhD topic, which is in 1979, we are 80, we are writing. So my professor told me, let us write for circulation research. Circulation research is a top cardiovascular journal. And I am a new graduate student, PhD, started my work, and first set of data I am trying to write. So he chose the top journal. So I went into the instruction of to authors and then read it and then start preparing the manuscript according to those instructions. That's very essential, because if you send a manuscript to a journal without following its instructions to authors, they will reject it. They simply say that you have not written this article for publication in our journal because it's not meeting any of our requirements, so they'll throw it out. They're not even going to look at what is the scientific content. First of all, have you written properly? This is what they look at. I'll cut the story short. The paper was there with circulation research for maybe 2 months, 3 months, and one fine day it came back and said that rejected. Rejected because of various reasons. Okay. Then I said, what am I going to do? Then my professor asked me, then you prepare it for Canadian Journal of Physiology and Pharmacology, and let's publish it there. Oh, Canadian Journal, why? Because we are in Canada. I mean, grants are coming from Canada. So we thought, being cardiovascular research, we want to put it in the top journal because it didn't. Let's put it in the Canadian Journal. So I have to rewrite the manuscript. Now remember this, this is not a published manuscript, it is rejected. So my professor told me, no, but don't send it as it is to Canadian Journal. Now look at the instructions to authors and see how you can change your already written manuscript to meet to the requirement of Canadian Journal of Physiology Pharmacology. So you have to go through the instructions to authors and you look at your manuscript and then, did I write it in this format? Whether the references are exactly the same way that the journal requires, the reference citation is the same way. Did I use the same chapters or sections like methodology or results and whatever? So it amounts to rewriting the manuscript, except for the text part where you don't have to change, but rest of them. And it got published in Canadian Journal of Physiology and Pharmacology. So my first paper came from Canadian Journal of Physiology and Pharmacology. While I'm at it, here there is a question number 1. It says that you have around 30 publications. Which is your favorite among them and why? Now, I was absolutely unhappy that time because I wrote for circulation research and they rejected it. So I took it as a personal insult. My professor said, so what? Some journals don't publish.
Yeah.
They reject.
Yeah.
Why do you have to bother? If your work is good, another journal would publish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then my next paper was published in American Journal of Experimental Therapeutics, Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics, the journal, JPET, it's called, Journal of JPET, Journal of Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics. Again, a good journal. It went, it came back. They said, the statistics was absolutely rotten. You have to subject it through much more stringent statistics. And if the statistics program that you put your results through is stringent enough, the work can be accepted. So they have not rejected, they have given me a scope. So with the data, I had to run to the Department of Statistics in University of British Columbia and ask them what should I do. And then they said, you have to apply ANOVA, analysis of variance, multiple range test, because you have more factors. See, when you talk about research article, so many factors would come into picture. So when we got the statistics done properly, Aspect published it. So my second paper was in Journal of Pharmacology and Experimental Therapeutics, highly rated journal. Third paper we published again in a journal of, I think we sent it to Canadian Journal of Physiology Pharmacology. Then we did some part of experiments and the results were very exciting. So my professor told me, hey, this part of the story, I like it in your entire research. Can you write it for American Journal of Physiology? Cardiovascular section. It's not a pharmacology journal, it's a physiology journal, American Journal of Physiology. And they have different subsections, metabolism, renal physiology. So there is a cardiac physiology. I said, yeah, I want to write it for this journal. Now let's write it. And when I looked at that instructions to authors, I was scared because the instructions to authors was so difficult. Putting your references, citing your references has to be done in an entirely different manner. All the journals follow one system, these guys follow an entirely different system. I wrote. It took me almost 2.5 months preparing that manuscript. I submitted. And after some time, I haven't heard anything. Then one day, my professor shouted, hey, Rao, get over here. We used to sit in offices. I'm in this cubicle and he is just shouting distance away in the same corridor. I went there and he gave me a letter and said, your paper is accepted by American Journal of Physiology, no questions, as it is. He had to scrap me off the ceiling because I hit the roof. Literally. I was so happy. And probably that is the greatest achievement I ever had. And after that, I am scared of writing another manuscript for any great journal, scared because I can't repeat my success. So it's not really good to try again. It's like winning the Wimbledons once, and next time you go, oh, last year I won, so I go. You may lose in first round. Remember one thing, once you attained a peak, just to sustain at the peak is most difficult, But if you have the objective, if you have the grit, and if you say that I want to publish my paper in one of the best journals, and we can do it. But that has to have really, really very good research work done. So it's essential. So we are talking about publishing research, but then we're not really talking about how good research can be done. But that's absolutely another area. How good research can be done is one area, and how you publish your research into a well-read, best journal, highly cited paper. I do not know how much of the citations that my papers received, because when I published, most of these publications came in between in the first 5 years of 1980s, 80 to 85. That's the time citations, etc., were not tracked, not online. They were tracked physically. So citation tracking and all that was there. ISI, Institute of Scientific Intelligence or whatever, information, I think Institute of Scientific Information, which always tracks, Even today, the Thomson Reuters impact factor of journals and H indices of authors, they all come from there only. That's the fundamental. So I know that the papers are getting highly cited, but I don't have the track. I'm just saying. So that's regarding question number 1.
Yeah, sir. I think most of articles, blogs, and research works is completed. One of the question odd out of it, ninth question. What are the aspects to be included in PharmD to make PharmD students a better clinical pharmacist? So I think last week also we had the same discussion of this question. So if you can put some light on this question, sir, by any chance.
Actually, I had an option, opportunity to work with some of the PharmD students when I was the director of St. Peter's in Warangal. PharmD as such is a very good course. It has sufficient clinical exposure. So, what aspects to be included in PharmD? Let me talk about it. It's not really any aspect is required to be introduced into PharmD. PharmD curriculum and program has to be implemented very meticulously in order to make PharmDs as very effective and capable clinical pharmacists. So things have to be done with a dedication. They almost spend about year and a half or 2 years, almost 2 years or more than 2 years in a clinical pharmacology department in the clinic. But I also heard that there are PharmD programs in which they tie up with the hospital and going there and going for ward rounds and spending time with patients, counseling them, etc., is not taken seriously. Some people don't even go. This is what I heard. I don't know. I am not making any judgments here because I'm not sitting in a judgmental chair. I'm only saying that there's an opportunity to be a clinical pharmacist and the course gives that opportunity. So when somebody gets that opportunity, they have to make full utilization of that opportunity to become a competent clinical pharmacist. Yes. Is it? There are no lacunae there. Lacunae will always be there. The point is, in a given experience, when a student is going through different areas of medicine, in some areas he or she might get good experience, whereas in certain other areas, no experience. So you cannot be 100% familiar or 100% competent in executing clinical pharmacist jobs in all areas of medicine. I'm talking about cardiology, nephrology, CNS psychiatry, or maternity, infectious diseases, diabetes, whatever you want to say, critical care, emergency care. There's so many are there. So the course can be made more complete when you add layers of specialization subsequently. So the course can be expanded into after PharmD, then there should be a year or two of super specialty. Okay. Such that a clinical pharmacist after that super specialty, he would be like a cardiology specialist. You also would have a cardiology specialist pharmacist. Is the field, is the science, or is the practice going there? Certainly it is going there. In India, we don't find that yet because most of the time we are trailing by 20-25 years behind. So that continues, except in certain areas like IT and pharmaceutical industry, etc. We caught up and we are able to deliver it to the world. But on certain practice-oriented areas, we are yet to catch up. But those are the things that we have to introduce. Oncology pharmacists, such a specific and special area. Pediatric pharmacists, even in cardiology, you go to cardiology, let's say a cardiac surgeon. A pediatric cardiac surgeon is different from a regular cardiac surgeon. Do you realize that difference? Heart is heart. So this guy can operate on adult patients as well as children. No. Child cardiologist or pediatric cardiologist surgeon is a special area. Like that, the clinical pharmacist areas would also be specialized. But okay, I'm already talking about next gen or higher level. What is that ailing the current PharmD program? If you look carefully, if you ask me, PharmD programs are ailing because of a lack of capable instructors. You may ask why. Because before the PharmD program started, there was nobody competent enough to teach this area of pharmacy. And most of the teachers who came to teach PharmD are from M.Pharm pharmacy practice. Okay. So where do these competent teachers to teach PharmD program arise from? Usually the PharmD program itself generates them. Everywhere it is like that. So most of our PharmD graduates, are they interested in taking teaching and research as their core area of interest? I think they should. Only then the instruction and the trainers would get improved to a point that we can take the education to the next level through instruction, through practice. Okay. So these are the people who are experienced going through the clinic, should guide the future students going through the clinic with dedication. That's what is needed. That's how things would develop. And research. Research is very important. Yeah.
I think we have got a lot of yes, exactly, sir, all those answers when you are saying this answer. So I think people are accepting with your words that what has to be implemented or what has to be improved in PharmD. So I think we are expecting more drastic changes in PharmD and the systems so that it goes into next level, sir.
I can tell you something.
Yes.
We talked about IPA building, remember?
Right.
Okay. For 8 years or 9 years, it didn't move anywhere. All the people who are sitting asking the question to the president, why is it not going? Why is it not going? People only ask the question. Somebody has to stand up there and say, I will make sure that it will go. Right? And that was done by me and Narayana. So we make a difference. So people, while they agree, yes, sir, and people who would say that, yes, that is the way to do it, they should also lead it and do it. Right? So agreement should lead to people taking the mantle. Mahatma Gandhi said, please be the change you want to see in the change you want to see in the world. If you want to see a change in the world, you be the change. You be the change means you should bring the change. Don't expect somebody else would come and change it such that you can step in. So I want to actually appeal to all the young minds, saying that anything you find there is a gap and you say that this should be done better than this, and don't expect somebody to do it better than that. You do it. You show the world that you can do better and you lead the way, because you have a great opportunity to lead the way. If everything is, done very well according to your satisfaction, there's no need of any leader, because what would the leader do? You can't add any further, right? You can't contribute anything to already saturated field. There's lacunae, you identify the lacunae and you contribute into the lacunae and you make sure that the lacunae go away, and the name and fame comes to whom? the person who removed the lacunae. And why can't that be you? That's what my point is.
Perfect, sir. Perfect. Sir, we have covered most of questions and we have only 5 more minutes. Do we wanted to join in one more time? It would be fine. Or else we'll quickly
No,
question.
because I have already segregated my day as this is, I have another webinar tomorrow. So I really enjoy talking this way. So I do not mind if people want to log in to continue this dialogue. Okay. It's a dialogue, I would say, because people are asking questions and I'm answering them.
Yeah. I think we are very grateful, sir, that you have spent so much of time and people have really understood a lot of things about articles and research and blogs and how you came and did all these changes in IPA. So we felt very grateful, sir, and we'll definitely go for one more quick other upcoming sessions also, sir.
Yeah. So are there any quick questions that we can, because we still have 8 minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah, 8 minutes we have, sir. And before we go into next thing, sir, I want you to save this video or share this video on once this call is ended, so that we can see all people who have not joined today can also see this video, sir. Once it is ended.
Yeah, I hope I can do that, because sometimes it's a challenge whether I'm doing the right or wrong.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll pick one more question, sir. As you have participated many invited talks, and even I was there, and can you explain or can you how to overcome the stage fear? As many of us have this kind of fear, how to talk on stage, and all those questions are here, sir. Before we close our session, sir, we will answer this. How to remove the stage fear? We are not sitting on stage, but there is a stage fear. People
It's
have.
easy. It's easy. You have to go on to the stage where you have fear, and go on as often as possible and start speaking. Okay. Easy. It takes at least 10 to 15 years to overcome that. No problem. I did the same. I had tremendous stage fear. First, I had fear of facing the students in the classroom. Why this fear comes is because if there is an expectation, can I meet those expectations? If I fall short of their expectation, then they don't appreciate. This is self-doubt that we always have this self-doubt. That's first thing. So you remove that and then you go. So in order to overcome the self-doubt, in order to overcome in order to successfully meet the expectation that I'm meeting the expectation of others, I'm doing good, you have to prepare. It's one. Some people memorize and go. I'm not talking about memory at all. I don't believe in memorization. Whatever you want to speak has to come in your mind automatically. And in order to get that, you need a clarity. And to get that clarity, you need exact understanding of what you want to speak. Okay, now, stage fear can be overcome by going on the stage more often. That's all, right? Yeah. But let me tell you, from a classroom, when I first started on a public platform speaking in front of so many people, my stage fear came back. I said, oh, in the classroom, I'm very freely able to speak. Why? Here, because you have the freedom, and here you do not have the freedom. You have to deliver whatever you want to deliver in a short time. Then you start speaking. I started speaking in small platforms, in college platforms, in small seminars. But when you go on to the big ones like IPC or a global meeting, you still have that fear. If today I have to speak in a global platform, I have a fear. And the fear is, would I be able to deliver it? Would I be able to deliver it to their satisfaction? Or would I be able to deliver it to my satisfaction? when you can do things to your satisfaction, you can overcome all these things. And don't be satisfied easily. Because you need to have yardsticks built. If I deliver a talk, halfway down the talk, I know whether I'm doing a good job or a bad job. The day is bad and you're doing a bad job, don't panic. Just try to complete it, in a very proper way, systematic way, and close it. Because on a bad day, you cannot really excel. It is something like when you are not able to score runs on a cricket field, try to stay as much as time as you can if it's a test match without losing your wicket. And even that becomes difficult, then you lose your wicket and come back. But when the day is good, when you are scoring, then there's no end to it. But as a player, you know it. Today is my day and today is not my day. So whenever you talk, there is a day and that day is not your day. But always have self-doubt in yourself that will I be able to deliver to the expectations and will I be able to deliver to my satisfaction? You are the better judge of your presentations, better than anybody. If you do not have that self-doubt and you go with a confidence, sometimes when you are not prepared also you go with a confidence. And that is what we call as overconfidence, OC, Risko OC zyada hai. Overconfidence sometimes make you fall flat on your face. You must also should be able to develop extemporaneous humor, saying things without really waiting for the sentences to form in your mind. Be able to say, if I go out on the stage and if I am not comfortable, the first thing I do is I make a stupid joke.